Hi, my name's Lynn Ingram. My husband Frank has been on dialysis for about 3.5 years, and we've spent quite a while finding ways of making interesting food because he had to change his diet so much. And today what I'm showing you is a salad and sandwich that keeps a man happy. Washing hands is really important. With a person on dialysis, the hygiene is quite a large factor in everything that you do. And also, I don't like washing lettuce, but it's another necessity. A lot of people on dialysis are older and they don't always have all their teeth. And my husband has this problem, so he says, don't make the lettuce in strips because it's going to all come out my mouth. So I sort of do a herringbone thing with it. I use carrot a lot because fibre is a really important part of the diet. And I grate it on the finest grating because you get the most juice and flavour out of it, and it's easier to eat. I try and just go straight into the container with everything. And grating the carrot is probably the longest job. I sort of just fork it through a bit. Then I just start layering up. I put pineapple in because it gives a little bit of sugar and part of the fruit for the day. But the pineapple I buy is pineapple in juice, not the pineapple in syrup. Tomatoes are all right for a dialysis person, but the cherry tomatoes, and you don't need a lot. A little packet of cherry tomatoes lasts for a long time. I only put one in a salad. I use beetroot, and I use whole beetroot because they taste nicer and you've got less problems with salt. You can buy low salt beetroot. I just slice it in as I want it. I do put a little bit of cheese in sometimes, and Frank likes camembert. He's allowed a little bit. So we always put it on top because then he thinks he's got it. I just put maybe 1.5, 2 thin slices. I just drop it in on top of the salad. I put a little bit of dressing. This is a kiwi salad for a kiwi bloke. I just put a little spoon of mayo and let him mix it in when he eats it. I press it down so it doesn't get stuck all over his lid. Start off with a small handful of spring onions. We like using Alpha 1, the rice bran spread. So I use a little bit of that. You don't need much, just enough to get the spring onions sizzling. You can use cream cheese on your bread instead of spread if you want to. Just gives it a bit more flavour. Sometimes even just on one side. You don't need very much, and that's well within your allocations of cheese and milk for the day. Okay, I can hear those onions sizzling. I try and keep them in the centre, so when I drop the egg on top of them, they stay in the egg. Always check your egg before you drop it in the pan. drop it in, break the yolk, and just roll it around a little bit. Because when he sees this between his two pieces of bread, he might think he's got 2 eggs if you make it look big enough. I don't use salt at all for anything, so we work with flavour. That's why I've got spring onion with the egg, and before it sets, a bit of black pepper. The salt's already in your bread, and in your spread, and in your cheese, so you don't need it. These are quite good because if you put that on a piece of bread, another thing we do sometimes at home is we just then layer it up with salad things and just have it like a big salad sandwich. Well, that's it. That's our egg. You can see it's not fully set. It's just cooked through. Other people might like it differently, but that's the way he likes it. Put it on your bread, bit sticking out the side. Just leave it a minute before you top on. Now a bit of Glad wrap. The top. Cut it in half. Hopeless with Glad wrap, terrible stuff, but you can't do without it. Okay. Now that's easier than boiling an egg and mashing it and everything else. And it's got a good flavour. Now that's your salad lunch. Always we have our calci tabs with anything we eat. They're really necessary to get rid of the phosphate. The machines or anyone on dialysis, their blood is cleaned, but not in our natural way that our kidneys would do it. So we have to give the machine a helping hand. So we do it through diet and taking our tablets, and that's really important. Fruit's important too, so, but we have quite a lot of restrictions with fruit, but we are allowed tangelos. Luckily we've got a tangelo tree, and we're allowed apples and pears, so I usually put in just one piece of fruit. You don't want to overload a man with too much fruit, and there's quite a bit in the salad that's in that way. So that's a good fibre meal with a bit of carb, an egg and some fruit, and a couple of dunkers. But you can add a lot of things to a salad. You can change things, but just check your list, check your veggie list. I mean, you can put in your spring onions, you can put in peppers, you can put in celery. You just find out what the man or whoever it is, what they like, and make that combination for them. And it's working really well for us. And now when I make a salad normally in the morning, I make one for him and one for me. And it forces me to also eat healthy every day as well. Yeah. One of the biggest challenges when it comes to preparing food for someone on dialysis is going to the supermarket. You're told to have low salt and you've got to have low sugar, and you've got to watch out for phosphate and potassium. So it's a minefield, and you often haven't got time to read all the labels. Well, I've taken the time, and so this is what I use. I've found several ingredients and I just buy them over and over again. And often the cheapest home brands have the least additives. So when I made my salad, I used pineapple slices and natural juice, and that was quite cheap. One of the things that we love to have a little bit of, and it's quite allowable on our diet, is a little bit of spaghetti on toast. And I've found that out of all the brands, the Select spaghetti is quite low in salt and sugar, and you get 4 servings from a can. And you'll find that if you put just a quarter of a can on your toast, it's actually quite adequate when you're having it maybe in the morning. I use rice bran oil and this classic mayonnaise as natural products and the least additives, so that's really good. And also sometimes in a salad in the corner I'll put in a half a can of tuna or something like that, and I have found home brands, it's a tomato and onion that's got the least salt, and yellowfin tuna, because it's a good quick protein, but there are just hundreds of tins on the shelves. So I've gone through when I've had time and checked them all out, and I found those two were the best for me. Also sauces. We like a bit of sauce. If we're having our meat, we don't put salt on things, but I found that Wattie's bit on the side, sweet chilli, that's really good. And as long as you stick to, you look at the serving size, and I mean a tablespoon of chilli sauce is adequate on your food, and that keeps within your salt levels. And this is a really good, we all love a bit of plum sauce, brings flavour into our meat, and this one has really low salt, so that for your little serving it's really good. Yeah, and the same with beetroot. You can get a beetroot that's got no added salt, but what you do is when you're using beetroot, you're not using the juice anyway, so you're draining the juice off and you're just using the slices. But I buy generally whole beetroot, and that's what I prefer to use. Yeah, so it's just, once you've found something that you like, it just makes it so much easier to know that this is safe. And most of our meals come out of these few ingredients that I've got in the cupboard. You just adapt and work around with them. Yeah. But just remember that. Go to the plain brands and check them first, because I went to a well-known brand that said reduced sugar, reduced salt, and when I compared it with other brands, I was better off to get the plain brand and the home brand. So don't think that you have to pay a lot of money to eat really good food with those low salt products. Just once you've got them in, you just stick to it, because they don't change their ingredients.